Do you hear that? It's my first night in the van. Things are not going well. Hello, everyone. I just got back from my first trip. Let me get my tripod. Sick of all this. Not being able to find anything. Ugh. I can't find it, so here we are. So that's one of the... How do I even tell this story? I decided to take a road trip, and my van is not finished, but I was like, this is good enough. I just want to get out there, and also I just wanted to go north. I wanted to see leaves. I wanted to feel the fall weather. I decided to just go, and I didn't have any like real plans. I had a few places I wanted to go and everything, and a few like ideas of where I could camp at each spot that I wanted to go. And I was like, this is good enough. I'll just figure it out on the way. This is all about adventure and freedom and being able to do whatever you want. And I thought I was gonna be gone for like 2 weeks. And so I live on the East Coast of the Carolinas, and I decided to go west first. I just wanted to go to the mountains. It doesn't make sense with the trip. It really doesn't. Except for the fact that if I was going to go that much north, I was probably going to go visit home, where my mom and my brother live, which is in Ohio. That's where the whole west thing came in, because I would eventually have to go west anyways. So I went west. I can't tell you how nice it is to stop to take a break on a road trip and be able to lay down and stretch out in a bed. This van is a little uncomfortable to drive. This is the longest I've ever driven it. I guess I've been driving for a little over 2 hours maybe, which isn't that long. I don't have cruise control, and it's bumpy and loud, which is fine. It's just like right now that I've stopped, my body feels like I could feel that, like I've been going like this for hours. And also on highways where everyone's going like 70 and above, like I was going about 75, but it doesn't feel super comfortable to go that fast in the van either. So I get passed by a lot of semis. 2 hours into the trip. So far, so good. I'm about to have my first meal in the van. I'm so excited. Where is my tripod? So I've been driving for hours, and I stopped at this place. Oh, did I forget my tripod? That's a maybe. Vegan cheesesteak. It's so good. Mac and cheese. So this vegan place I went is in Columbia, South Carolina. It is the best food I've ever had. Like, not the best vegan food I've ever had. It's like the best thing I've ever had. They make this Philly cheesesteak with cheese. Oh, it's so good. So this trip, with me eating on this trip, it could go like one of two ways. Sorry, it's very weird. I'm like keeping an eye on everything. It's very weird being out in public, and why does that keep turning on? That is weird. That is so weird. That shouldn't be happening. Did you see that? Or is that like a spirit thing? Fucking weird, dude. Me eating on this trip could go one of two ways. I'm going to be able to be around a lot more vegan stuff. Not everywhere, I'm sure, but some places I'm going. Like on this first day, the place I'm going, a lot of vegan options. So that could go two ways. I could get like really healthy on this trip and do a bunch of like juices and beautiful fruits and things like that, and almost do like a cleanse and fast a little bit. I feel like that would be a really good and healthy and easy way to do this trip. On the other hand, I could walk into Whole Foods and just buy so many vegan desserts that I can't usually get, like cookies, like bags and bags of cookies. I could just eat bags and bags of cookies on this trip. So we'll see. I ate before I left today, and then I haven't had anything but water until this. And I got a juice, a pineapple orange juice. They also had cranberry pomegranate. I kind of wish I would have gotten one of each. The first mistake I made, I have figured out there's a lot of mistakes I made and there's a lot of things I need to fix. The first mistake I made was not checking the weather forecast. Didn't even occur to me. You guys, I'm not a camper. Like, I camped a lot when I was younger. I enjoy nature, but I'm gonna have to learn a lot of things that I just have never like thought about before, like the weather. I drove into a storm. So the last couple of hours I was driving, it was so I drove 6 hours the first day. And the last 2 or 3 hours of my trip, it was raining. So I start driving to the first camp spot that I had found on iOverlander, and I was really excited about it. I also had a backup spot picked, and I got there early enough to go check it out. It was like, I don't know, maybe like 6 o'clock-ish, 5:30, something like that. I finally make it to this camp spot. It's in the mountains, really, really tight, windy roads through this forest, and it's raining and it's foggy. But I make it to the turnoff where I am thinking that I'm gonna stay, and the road is closed, which is probably a good thing because, like, even though it was raining, the storm was coming that night and I didn't know. So I'm glad I didn't go back in there. However, so now I'm down in this place. I don't have service there, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna turn around, get out back to the main road, and figure out what to do. And like, that seems simple, just turn around, but dude, it was like 40 minutes to get back in there. So 40 minutes to get back out, still raining, still dark, still foggy. I type in the coordinates for my backup location and I realize it's an hour away. I'm like, oh man, what if I get there and it doesn't work either? Pulled up iOverlander and I found a place that was just a few miles away from me. Cool. It was this public pool parking lot, but it was on a river. It was a big parking lot. So I go there. It feels safe. There's porta potties there. There's free Wi-Fi. Oh my gosh. There's like lights in the parking lot, but not too many. Great. I can't wait. So I back into this spot that's on the riverside, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's still raining. I put up all of my little window covers, except for the back ones, because I'm like looking over the river. Even though it's dark, I can't see anything. The river's back there. I'm like, no one's gonna like come behind my van. So on the home screen of my phone, I have a weather widget. And so I just opened my phone and I saw a big flood warning, river flood warning. So I click on it. It's warning me that the river I'm backed up on is going to flood. Probably. I later find out this river is huge and the part I'm on really looks like a creek. Later, I drive over the river and it's like, oh look, this is the river I stayed on last night. I stayed on a much smaller part of it, but I think it's cool. It's the same river. It's like humongous, this river. Like a lake. So I start freaking out that I'm parked on a river that's going to flood in the middle of the night and I'm going to drown. I decide to just move my car, the van, away from the river. I back into this spot that has a field behind it. And this time I do put up my back window coverings. Even though I'm like, no one's going to be walking around back here, but I just put them up. I fall asleep. I can't remember when this happened, if this was now or later. I think it was later, where I am laying on my pillow and I feel water dripping on my face. Do you hear that? It's my first night in the van. Things are not going well. The first place I went to camp had a guard gate up and I couldn't stay there. I found this place and now it's raining really hard and there's a flood warning for the river that's behind me. Now I just lay down. I'm like, oh my god, I just need to go to sleep. Like, I'm scared, I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know about this anymore. Like, that, just not doing it, but doing it alone. I'm not having fun. And I go to lay down and there's a leak on my pillow. So this thing goes to the roof, and I found a leak a few weeks ago, like, or I don't know how long ago, before I had the mattress, because I saw a wet spot on the wood, and so I sealed it around here, and I sealed the outside, but this part is what is dripping. So for tonight while I'm sleeping, I'm gonna try to just put this sock around it. So I have a leak. I have since found another leak. I came out here today. Should I tell this now? Yeah, now. So that is the one leak. Down here, I found today, can you see that? Is another leak. I don't know where that water's coming from. I think it's coming from up here, or maybe right there actually. So I fall asleep, and then while I'm sleeping I hear this music, and it takes a minute before it wakes me up. And then I realize I hear voices, and then all of a sudden there's all these men's voices outside of my back window. I actually fell asleep, and now there's people outside. I'm gonna try to get them on camera because I can't see anything, and I hear men voices. and they're talking about the van. I can't hear exactly what they're saying, but I heard something about had to park it right here, whatever. I don't know if they thought anyone was in it or not, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna like wait this out, see how it goes. So they're there for a while. I hear them talking. I am like trying so hard not to be seen or heard, but I'm slowly moving around in here, creeping, trying to like peek out of the windows, and I was able to kind of like peek out of one of these front ones, and I could see a car parked a few spots away from me that way, and then the people were behind me. I'm just waiting it out. Like my heart is beating so fast. It's raining, it's dark, I don't know where I am, and there's these men outside of my van. So I'm already like, the anxiety is going a little bit, the adrenaline is rushing. Eventually they leave, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I crawl out of the front. Like when these are closed, I didn't want to open these because I do have these twinkle lights that are on at night, and the only way to turn them off is to be up front. And there were like street lights out there, so if I would have gone into the cab, people would have been able to see me. But after they left, I went up in the cab. I'm looking all around the parking lot. I'm like, okay, coast is clear, everything's fine. Let's go back to bed. I lay back in bed and I hear cars again. I decide to ignore it. Then I hear someone laying on their horn. I'm like, what is going on? What is actually going on? So I get out of bed, I peek out of the front, these ones, and I see a car parked on the other side of the parking lot, kind of where I was parked the first time. They're not in a spot, they're directly facing me. Their headlights are on my van, and they're just laying on their horn. At this point, I decide I should leave. So I grab my keys, I take my window covers down, I jump in the front, I turn it on, and as I am starting to pull out of this parking lot, I notice that the first car came back and they had other cars with them. So now there's like 4 cars. Like, it was probably, I feel like this place is probably just like a late night high school hangout or something. It was probably some kids. I'm sure I was fine, but I was so scared. I just felt so unsafe. And I would like to point out that that is the main reason I wanted to have a van and not something like a pull behind trailer, where you could get in a situation like that and feel like you have to leave, but then you would have to make yourself vulnerable and get out of your vehicle and get back in. And yeah, so happy about that choice. So at this point, it's very dark. It's still raining, which was even more suspicious that these people were walking around behind my van. Like, it's raining. What are you doing? Even though it was an hour away, I didn't know what else to do. I just hit my GPS really fast to take me to my backup spot that was an hour away. Winding mountain roads, whatever. I start driving. I have to get out of this parking lot. So I'm driving and the weather just starts getting worse. I didn't know it was like, I keep saying it was traumatizing, but I didn't know it was like this traumatizing. I don't know if I can even, like, I feel like this is such a baby. Ugh. So the weather's getting much worse. Um, it's like pouring so hard. The roads that I'm on are in the kind of like in the middle of nowhere. They're so dark. And it's also still foggy and like tiny winding back mountain roads, nowhere to pull off, pull over. I was very frightened. I don't think it sounds that uh scary talking about it. I was so scared, and it's so stupid. Whatever. So I finally find this little place that I can pull over into, and I mean, it's just the weather is so bad. I can't drive an hour in this weather. I already feel like I'm about to like die. And so I tried to find, I'm like, okay, I just need to see if there's like a Walmart or something closer to me than an hour. And there was. It was like 7 miles away. So I drive to this Walmart and it's about to close. It's not a 24-hour Walmart. So I call them and ask if I can stay there, and they tell me no. I noticed there's a Hampton Inn like over the hill. And at this point, it wasn't super late because of how dark it was and I was so tired from my drive. I went to sleep at like 9. So at this point it was just like maybe 11 or something, maybe like 11:30. And so I decided to sneak into the Hampton parking lot and I found this back corner space and I backed into it and I slept until like 5 a.m. So I got a few hours of sleep. I decided to get up then and get out of there and also drive to the Outlook that was my backup plan. I was like, I'll go there, I'll see the sunrise, make some coffee. It's going to be great. Great start to the day. Today I'm going to go like downtown and go crystal shopping, and there's all these great vegan options at grocery stores, and I'm going to get juice. And I decide, let's just put last night behind me. It's gonna be fine. I drive to this Outlook. I get up there. It's still raining, and it's raining so hard. It's also it's also still foggy. So I get up to this Outlook and I can't see anything for a while. It's okay. I don't care so much about the view. I wanted to be somewhere where I felt like I was allowed to be. That is the feeling that I struggled with a lot. I felt like I wasn't allowed to be places, and I felt so uncomfortable without having a place, which is something I'm just gonna have to work on. It's like a marathon. So it's still raining. I don't have a fan yet, remember? So I can't make coffee because I can't turn the camp stove on without having ventilation, and it's pouring down rain. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just lay here with this beautiful view that I know is behind the clouds, and I'll just plan my day. It's raining so hard, I don't have service. So I'm just laying here for a while. After an hour or so, it clears up a little bit. I get to see a little bit of the view, and I get enough service to be able to pull up the radar. And I realized that as bad as it has been storming, it was going to get increasingly worse all day long. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. The rain. I had had it. Like, my energy cup was empty already. Day 1 of this trip, I've had it. The storm was over the entire area I wanted to be in at that time, but it was also moving north and it was also moving east. Both of the directions that I wanted to go. I needed to get out of this storm, and I didn't want to stay where I was, be in the storm all day and into the night. I decided to drive west. And I remembered this TikTok
We're inside the Smoky Mountain Relic Room. We've got the largest selection of metaphysical crystals and minerals anywhere in North America, with over 350 different stones to choose from smoky citrine pebbles at $4 to beautiful fluorite ones for $10.
That my friend Danielle sent me. You guys have met Danielle. And it was of this crystal shop in Tennessee. And I told her when she sent it to me months and months and months and months ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm looking for a van, and as soon as I get it, that's going to be my first trip. So I decided to drive to Tennessee. It was only a few hours away from me. I drove there. It was amazing. I'm going to make a whole video about that place. So I go there, I do my shopping, and then I go find somewhere where I have service, because I did not have service at that place. Something I ran into a lot in the mountains was not having service. I guess I need to get like a booster or something, because like not that I'm so connected to my phone, like I need to be on social media or whatever. Like I didn't do that, not once at all when I was gone. Well, I had time either, but it's just more of like having service to not feel lost, since I am using the GPS on my phone instead of, maybe I should get something else for that. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm figuring it all out. Anyways, I find a parking lot and I pull over, and I lay in the bed and I'm like, all right, let's plan what I'm going to do next, because everything is just off now. I can't find anywhere around there that I feel safe trying to like stealth camp at, probably mainly because of the night that I had the night before. So I start looking up campgrounds or hotels. I'm like, I don't even care at this point. Like, I'm so tired. I just want to feel safe and comfortable, because I haven't felt safe or comfortable. Also, kind of a random fact about me, when I'm uncomfortable, I can't eat. And so I hadn't eaten since the day before at lunch, when I was driving through a city that has my favorite vegan food. So I ate lunch there, and then no, I couldn't eat anymore. I didn't eat anymore on the trip. So I'm in Tennessee, I'm laying in my bed, and I am trying to figure out what to do. The campgrounds around me are already full, or they only have tent camping spots available. I don't have a tent. And the hotels around me were like so expensive, like, oh my gosh, so expensive. And when I say around me, I mean I did a pretty big wide search, and I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And then so I'm trying to look north, like if I do want to like cut up to Ohio. There was nowhere I wanted to like stay, but also the storm was still kind of up more a little bit. I'm like, should I just cut directly over to the East Coast? But again, not knowing where I wanted to end up that night, not knowing where I could stay. And I just, at this point, I was so tired. My adrenaline had been kicking for such a long time, and I just felt like such a failure. So then I thought, maybe I'll go south. There's this really cute few towns in Georgia, in the Georgia mountains, that I love. Maybe I should just go down there, because there is a place there I really want to go van camping right outside of these waterfalls. You stay right on the waterfalls. It's so beautiful. I'm like, okay, let me see how far away I am from there. I pull up the directions. I'm not that far. Now I can't remember what it was. It was 4 to 6 hours, somewhere in there, maybe 8. It wasn't a super long way. I was like, oh, I could go there today. At that moment, I started getting so hot, and I'm like, oh, it's so hot here. In the mountains of North Carolina, it was nice and cool. Something about going to Tennessee, it was so hot that day, and I'm burning up, and I'm like, yo, that's like the reason I was gonna go north, because I'm not equipped to be in hot weather. I don't have a fan. And when it's raining, I can't roll down the windows. Like, I am not prepared. So I look up the weather in Georgia, and it's so hot. You guys, at that point, I was over it. I wasn't having fun. I didn't, like, it sounds so stupid that I couldn't find a place to go, but like, I was just Listen, if my trip would have started on a sunny day and I would have been able to sleep through the night at my first campsite with no problems, this trip would have been completely different, I'm sure. But I was tested, and at that moment, I looked up how far away I was from home. I realized I could be home before 10 p.m. if I drove 8 hours. So, so I'm home. I came home to regroup. When I got home last night, I hadn't eaten in over 24 hours. I was exhausted and I feel defeated. I know I'm not defeated. I'm not like, it was a good little mini first trip. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. But you know what? It's not like I could leave again in 2 days. I could fix a few things and just go north in a few days. It doesn't have to be like one consecutive adventure. I'm blessed to have, you know, a home base to come back to and fix things. My window covers came apart. I definitely need to fix those before I go back out. I need to figure out where these leaks are from. And also just a few little like organizational things in here that I realized were a little hard to maneuver. It was also a little bit uncomfortable driving for that long, but I've heard it gets easier. So today I am going to work on my window covers a little bit. It was raining this morning here. It did actually rain for maybe 3 of the 8 hours I drove home yesterday. So I drove for 10 hours yesterday total. Life is long and strange. I don't regret going on this trip, and I don't regret any of the decisions that I made. I'm happy I made it home safe, and I just have to be thankful for the lessons that I learned, and I have to regroup. So that's where I'm at. So that is the story of my first trip in the van. It's my story. That's all I've got. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you like the actual beginning. I can't believe this. So the day I was planning on leaving, oh my gosh. The day I was planning on leaving was actually the day before I left. I get everything packed, ready to go. I start driving. I'm about 5 minutes down the road, and I think to myself, I'm bored. At that moment, my check engine light comes on. At that point, I thought I was going to be driving for like 2 weeks straight. So I'm like, let's turn around. We're going to the mechanic. $400 part later. Yeah, so my trip actually started like that. And it is Mercury retrograde, not the best time for a trip. The thing is, I wanted to be out of town for my birthday. I love being in different places for my birthday, and that's kind of what pushed me to leave at the exact time that I did. I had my birthday on the road, I did. So maybe the next time before I leave, I check both the physical weather and the astrological weather. Okay, Rachel. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Thank you for coming along on this crazy adventure of mine. I'll see you next time. Love you all. Bye.